we need to do that same thing. Like we need to push back a little bit without being contentious. I know we're trying not to be contentious, but push back a little bit and say, look, you want to say Joseph was whatever you think he was, fine. What do you do with these other three men? These other three men who abandoned him at times, who left the church. Some came back, but some did not, but they never denied the witness that they received.
The fact that they kind of fell from the grace of the church a little bit actually strengthens them as a witness.
Not that was the preference, but yeah, I think you're right. I think it does do that.
But the fact that they, were at odds and separated from the church, and even like to their deathbed, they were like there would be no reason to have that on your conscience and to continue if it was something other than what it was. And quite the contrary, they emphatically...
Yeah.
Right.
They could not deny it.
This happened, it was legitimate. Like,
It reminds me, it was so powerful when Jeffrey R. Holland gave his testimony in conference, and he had the original Book of Mormon that Hiram Smith had and used, as him and Joseph were going to Carthage, and he talks about how a righteous man, knowing he was going basically to be martyred, would not quote from this book if it was, if he was a charlatan, if it was all fake, But you can take that logic and apply it to these other three men who, to the very end, with nothing to gain, there was no financial incentive or benefit or rationale or reason. They weren't great leaders of men. They didn't have any significant influence outside of, the small band of saints that maybe had followed them at one time. There was no reason for them to carry on that witness except that they knew the eternal condemnation they would be under if they were to ever deny that witness that they received. And they knew they could not deny it, even if they were at odds with the church. At times they knew they could not deny what they had seen and what the Lord required of them to bear witness of, or else their eternal soul would be under condemnation. That's hard to just justify. That's hard to just excuse away. Yeah. And I think it's something we should bring up a little bit more often when people start to question and push back on the validity of the Book of Mormon.
Well, and that's why they were chosen, is that they were men of character, of reputable men of character. And these, it wasn't some small thing for them to receive this angelic witness. This was obviously received by covenant, in the same way that Martin Harris was able to have access to the translation process by covenant, meaning a promise with consequences, good or bad, associated with it. Obviously, these three men, as part of the opportunity to be the witnesses, they entered into covenants. Again, we don't have, I don't think we have particulars of that covenant, but clearly, they took it seriously. So, it's a surety. From heaven will I declare it. What's interesting here is that, their witness, in some way, they didn't just receive a witness of the Book of Mormon, they received a witness of the resurrection as well.
Hit that like button, leave us a comment, subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate it.
They may seem like little things, but liking, commenting, it helps the algorithm push our content out to more people. So it's our small way of sharing the gospel in a social media age.